So I'm double happy because it's the third meeting that we are launching that way and since COVID. But the most important is that we are also and importantly celebrating the 10th anniversary of the AIRR community. So it's a special event on that aspect, and I'm sure you will all appreciate what's going to happen, especially at the end of today and tomorrow. So just to remind you, because if you register, it's because you've been interested by the program. So we have a half a day, 3 hours program during these 2 following days. So today, day one, it's mainly our General Assembly, where all our fabulous working groups, subcommittees, and review committees are going to introduce all the incredible work they are doing for the AIRR community in different spaces. So we will listen to their activities and achievements during the next hours. We will then have a presentation and discussion, mainly together with Jamie Scott, about the strategic planning of the AIRR community, how we see ourselves progressing for the future, and what we believe we should continue doing to promote our science and our philosophy. And then we will end the day or the afternoon or the evening by the celebration of the 10 years anniversary. That will be a presentation and discussion and introduction of how all this community started and how the people that created this amazing community see the evolution of this community, how it's evolved so far, and where they see things. So day two, it's going to be our scientific session that we wanted to, during which we wanted to spotlight on one of the major aspects, or not major, but a really important aspect in the AIRR field, which is to understand what is antigen specificity, both on the TCR side, the BCR side, from the immunological perspective in terms of the vision of what some people may believe antigen specificity means, how we can tackle this from computational perspective, and what are the challenges. So we will have four fantastic talk by Professor Antonio Lanzavecchia, Professor David Klatzmann, Dr. Victor Greif, and Professor Maria Rodriguez Martinez. So please join tomorrow, of course, and be active in the discussion and the exchange with the speakers. We will end the session with a presentation of one of the major output also of the AIRR community, which is the AIRR Data Commons, that will be introduced by Brian Corrie, and he will introduce the new version of the ADC, as we like to call it, that now includes antigen specificity information. So without spending more time on the introduction, I will leave the stage now to opening the General Assembly and Brian Corrie for the presentation of the Common Repository Working Group activities and achievements.
You can see my screen okay? So
Yes.
I get to start off the session and end the session tomorrow.
Yes.
How exciting. And when you said 10 years, I was thinking, am I excited that I've been doing data curation in the AIRR Data Commons for 10 years, or depressed? I don't know which one. Thanks.
So happy to do it.
There you go. Thanks, everybody. So I'm Brian Corrie from Simon Fraser University, part of the receptor project, the lead of the Common Repository Working Group. From an organizational perspective, we're a pretty small group. We've had 7 participants since the last AIRR meeting in an active way, with 4 regular participants. So we're a pretty small group. And that's one of the key things that I'd like to put out there. If anybody's interested in joining us, we'd certainly welcome new participants in our working group. tell you a little bit about what we've been up to. So one of the big outputs over the last little while, I mentioned this briefly at the Porto meeting because it was just starting up. We have the receptor team has been working with a group of T1D researchers to create a T1D specific, type 1 diabetes specific repository in the AIR Data Commons. So this is a pretty large consortium of over 15 research groups. The exciting thing over the last little while is we're going to hit 400 million sequences of T1D specific data in the AIR Data Commons. And that's going to actually make that the second largest disease-specific data set in the AIR Data Commons behind COVID-19. So that's a pretty exciting outcome. We did publish a paper about the consortium in October of last year. And anybody that's interested in T1D research, we'd certainly welcome them to participate in that. So we have created a number of T1D repositories in the AIR Data Commons. So that's part of our kind of outputs. But the other exciting development is we're working with Victor Greif's group, and we have a new repository working with Victor. Again, that's our receptor team working with their group. The ADC registry isn't new, but I thought I would mention it again. So it was new at the last meeting. Basically, this is a list of approved repositories in the AIR Data Commons. So if you do want a concise list of the actual repositories in the AIR Data Commons, this is the place to get it. We do have a governance policy for adding repositories and removing repositories from the AIR Data Commons as well. And this process has been applied to the last couple of repositories that have been added to the AIR Data Commons. Encarnita alluded to this. The AIR standard, which the standards group is going to talk about in a little bit, has some new capabilities. Two of the key ones that are going to be talked about extensively tomorrow are new capabilities around storing cell and epitope reactivity and or receptor chain epitope reactivity. And these types of data, even though the AIR standard 2.0 isn't released yet, we have implemented the AIR receptor team has implemented a pre-release of the version 2 standard, and there is actually some single cell epitope reactivity data in the AIR Data Commons today. And we're working with the T1D group, in fact, to work towards producing inferred receptor chain epitope reactivity. I'll talk about in more detail about that tomorrow in my session. And last but not least, so this is trying to represent the scientific impact of the AIR Data Commons. So this is basically it's called a lit map. This is an interesting website if people are interested. It's basically a graph of the citations of 4 AIR Data Commons related papers: the iReceptor paper, the AIR Data Commons API paper, an AIR COVID-19 paper that was published, and the data sharing and reuse chapter. It's been over 150 citations, kind of these high. So on the x-axis is time, and the y-axis is number of citations on a log scale. So these citations up here are COVID-19, obviously highly cited. One of the interesting trends we're seeing is a lot of papers in the machine learning domain are starting to cite the AIR Data Commons as a place to find data. So the goals moving forward are, as per usual, continue to advance the AIR Data Commons, the AIR-C API, and the repository registry. Our group has moved to a slower cadence. We're meeting every 2 months with the idea to strike task force if we want to do something specific. Our main products are, of course, the AIR Data Commons and the AIR Data Commons registry. Resource requirements: we need more people and we need more data. And that's, I think, the key takeaway from this. If people are interested, we'd certainly like to hear from you. And I have confirmed by the working group to continue on as the working group lead, even though I tried to get out of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brian. Any question from the audience? Comment on this work? If not, I have some questions, maybe for those people that might not be already introduced in the AIR community. So how it is to access those new repositories? Do we need to register? Do we need to, how to get access to the data? And what is the data that you can retrieve, FASTQ, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. Yeah. So the AIR, yeah, I mean, I didn't go to description of what the AIR data commons is. So basically the repositories adhere to the AIR standards. So the key things to recognize is that they are basically data is curated with all of the study metadata that helps you really find the data that you're interested in. So that talks about subject samples, how the samples were processed, how the sequencing was done, et cetera, et cetera. The other thing is that the data is annotated. And so it has VDJ annotations, CDR3 sequence, all of the things that you're probably interested. So you're not starting from the FASTQ files. One of the main ways of accessing it is through the iReceptor Gateway, which is a product or a platform that we've developed. And the other one is VDJ Server. So there's two mechanisms for getting access to the AIR Data Commons. And it's basically a web interface that you can go to and query the AIR Data Commons. So you're basically typing queries into a web user interface, asking for, I don't know, subjects of type 1 diabetes between 15 and 20 years old, something like that. You can then download the data, or you can do some sorts of analysis within the platform. So trying to make it easy for researchers to find, reuse, and share their data. Thanks, Encarnita, for that.
I have another question about the registry. You talk about governance. So what governance means, and again, because that for user might be important also to know where they jump into.
Yeah, so so researchers can run their own repositories. Some of us larger research groups run repositories ourselves. So there's a mechanism where you can run your own repository if you have data sets yourself. So to get a repository into the AIR Data Commons, it basically has to be AIR compliant from a standards perspective. So it has to have all of the kind of AIR standards, kind of metadata supported, the sequence annotations, the cells, and the reactivity data, for example, now. And then it has to implement the AIR Data Commons API. The AIR Data Commons API is the mechanism that you can query the repository to get data out. So if you're AIR standards compliant and you implement the AIR Data Commons API, then you have an ADC repository. And so the governance is basically checks those things. So if you want to add a repository, you submit a request, you send an email with a list of things. It's on the website on those links that I had. The AIR Common Repository Working Group reviews it, gives it a stamp of approval, puts it on the list, essentially, and that's what happens.
And the last question I have is, you need more people. What you need the people for? Again, it's to try to attract people and to see who could come and help you in this task.
Yeah, so I mean, there's two things. So one of the things we do a lot of, or we try to do, is outreach. So get the message out that the AIR Data Commons exists, that it's important, and people should share their data. We do have a task force that was started last year. It hasn't really produced that much, but it's focused on data curation. And so there's an initiative to try to get more data curated by having the working group work on some of that curation. So if people are interested in the data curation process and trying to understand what it means, this is a good place to learn about that kind of thing. And we just kind of need bodies to find interesting studies and potentially help to curate and prepare those for loading into the AIR Data Commons. I can't hear you, Encarnita. Something happened there.
What?
Oh, no, I can hear you now. Sorry.
Okay.
Maybe that wasn't.
I was just saying that this data curation is something that it's important for anyone to learn because of the impact of this aspect then on the data that you use and the results that you can retrieve out of those data.
Yeah, I mean, I like to use this study, this COVID-19 study from Schulthess. It's the Binder Lab. So that paper has been heavily cited, the AIR Data Commons as a place to find the data. And that paper, as you can see by all of these little gray lines up here, has been cited by many, many, many other papers. and has cited iReceptor. That probably means that researchers, that paper was cited because people found the data in the AIR Data Commons and reused it, right? So having your data from a study in the AIR Data Commons, it can increase dramatically the reuse of your data, and if you care about it, the citation count for your promotion. So I think that's important to point out and recognize.
Yeah, good point. Thank you, Brian. So if there is no other question, let's move to Pieter for the diagnostic working group.
Hello.
Pieter and Ulrich, both together.
Ulrich, am I giving the presentation or are you?
No, I think I am. At least you're very welcome if you want to.
No, go ahead. I'll be here for emotional support.
Thank you very much.
Good.
I will need it. Okay, good. So you see my screen?
Yes.
Good, perfect. Thank you. Good. So, well, first organizational bit. So, as well already disclosed, Pieter and me are co-leads in the diagnostics working group. We have 12 participants, and 6 of these joined after Porto. So I think in terms of getting new members, Porto was quite successful for us. So in this map, I colored in all the countries that are represented in the working group, and I think it's clear that we are working worldwide. We have, since Porto, we have revived the podcast that we had, the On Air podcast. We have released 2 episodes since Porto. One is ready to go and will be released on the 29th of May. And we have 3 episodes that are planned, so the recording is planned. And we will attempt to record a roundtable discussion at the Antwerp TCR meeting next week. And if that goes well, that will also go out as an episode on the podcast. And if not, we will have learned something about how to record things at conferences, because this has been a plan of ours, a dream of ours from the very beginning, that we somehow capture the dynamics and excitements that are at conferences. In the working group, we also have some publications, at least submitted. There is 3. One is focusing on the regulations of software as a medical device. There is a review on machine learning in AIR-C diagnostics. And this is led by 2 PhD students. One joined the group just before Porto, and the other one joined as a result or after Porto. And then we have a perspective for the also for the immunoinformatics special issue. So the machine learning review is also for the immunoinformatics special issue. In terms of work that we've done so we've defined what participation mean in the working group. So this was necessary because people tend to come and go and come back and leave again and then come back. And according to the governance document that we have, it's important to know who are actual participants, because these are the ones with voting rights. We have also defined smaller topics that within the working group that we can organize around, things that excite people, to motivate and encourage more deeper work and more productive work sometimes also, I think. And we have started a presentation series that we call Disease Deep Dives. So it's once every 2 months that we have this. We started this because we realized that we all believe that there are plenty of diseases where AIR-C is very relevant. It's just difficult for us as non-medical doctors to actually identify them and to identify the exact application of AIR-C in this. So to increase our common knowledge, we have started these presentation series. And everything started really well with a presentation in December on multiple sclerosis. And since then, it has been a little bit bumpy. but next month I have been promised by the presenter is safe, secure. It might be a little bit short, but the presenter will definitely be there. So next month it will for sure start. And then we have, so like open work is to finalize a podcast code of conduct document that we started before the meeting in Porto. And this was started because we were approached by, or the podcast people were approached by some people from private companies, and we were wondering how to handle this. Now the state is that there will be no private companies representing on the podcast. So the enthusiasm to finalize the document has waned a little bit. But we are still going to close it. And then after this, we can see within the AIRR community, how do we deal with these kind of things? Because the podcast seem to be popular, at least with some industries. Good. So the goal of the working group is still, as it always has been, to advance clinical application of AIR sequencing. And this we do primarily through the podcast, but also manuscripts and opinion papers. And we need, primarily for the podcast, we need various resources to continue, so microphones, editor, and such things. And Pieter and I, we will continue for this next interval, and maybe there will be 3 chairs for the next meeting. But for now, Pieter and I continue as co-leads.
Thank you, Ulrich. Any question in the audience? So yes, for the William, you want to say something? For the code of conduct, yes, this is important, and it has been delayed. We already had some back and forth, so this is something that we believe we agree with you and we believe it's important to finalize. So promise we will work on this and get back to you very soon.
No, I think it's actually with us. It's with us now.
Yes.
So
that's true. That's true. So yes, when I say we, it's the exec council. So the podcast is coming back. You did not get any feedback from our colleague from Hawaii after the discussion we had. That was not directly linked to diagnostic, but that was also kind of using same approach.
Yes, I left that out because it's not primary. It's not a primary product of the diagnostics working group, but we were approached, just for everyone, by a guy in Hawaii. He wants to do some YouTube podcast mixed thing about how to use tools, the various AIRSEC related tools that are developed and the problems. There's a bit of back and forth, primarily to finalize what the exact idea is for the content that he wants to present. And this we are doing. The work is a little bit slow on this, but it's still with us, and we're still working on this and hope to put out something eventually.
And last question, so the session that you are organizing on the disease, are they recorded? Do you think that this could be something that could be shared? Because I think it's interesting for everyone, the point of view that is developed around disease and diagnostic and AIR. So is this something that you think could be done?
We have not actually discussed. It's a really good idea, and it also crossed my mind. We haven't discussed this in the working group, but I will ask when I send out the final reminder for the presenter if it's okay that we record at least the presentation. So the idea is to have 30 minutes presentation, 30 minutes discussion, and at least the presentation we should record, I think. And the presenter should also prepare for us like 2 summary slides. So one is a summary of the disease that has been presented in a way that we can hopefully understand, and another one, so like points for AIRR-C application. So we will have something also more tangible to take with us. But I agree, a presentation would be recording would be really nice.
Okay. So I'm warned by Larissa that it's 1 minute warning, so I think we should move to the next presentation. Sorry. Hopefully we may discuss after. William, your turn. Thank you, Ulrich and Pieter. Your microphone is turned off.
My microphone is turned off, and
now it's turned on.
just trying to work out how to share my screen. Well, welcome everybody. So the germline database working group, we have around 25, 26 people who've called into our regular calls since the beginning of 2024. So those are our membership, if you like. Co-leads are Jamie, Heather, and myself. And we hold a quarterly progress call about once a quarter. And we have the same issue that the diagnostics working group has, that our membership is very dispersed. So we actually hold 2 progress calls, one in Asian time and early European time, and one at the end of the European day and the beginning of the American day. And that seems to work quite well for presenting updates. And I think it means we get quite a lot of people who are interested to know what's going on in the germline set world and join us to hear about that. The working groups where we actually do our work, we can't really split that way. And we try to fit in with the people who are interested in joining the calls. At the moment, we have 2 subgroups, one working on rhesus macaque germline sets, and the other one working to produce a human TR reference set to go alongside the IG reference set that the AIRR Community already publishes. I think there's a lot of interest, particularly in the TR set. I get asked quite frequently, how's it going? When are you going to do it? The problem is we're all doing it in our spare time, and it takes quite a long time to put things together. And that's certainly one appeal I want to make. If there is anybody out there who has enough time to help with the curation of a reference set, actually pulling the data together and getting it and its associated evidence in shape to go on our database, be very glad to talk to you. What we can offer, I think, is hopefully these reference sets will be quite widely used over the next few years. So you could be, an early author on a very highly cited paper, if you like. If anyone's interested in that, all training will be provided. In terms of what we've been up to, there are 2 online resources that we maintain and provide to the community. The first is vdjbase.org, which is developed in Goryari's lab. vdjbase.org has an extensive collection of analyses of alleles, germline alleles, taken both from genomic data, mainly from Corrie Watson's lab, and also taken from AIRR-C using the inference technique that Gore and his team have developed. And that is an amazingly useful resource to us when compiling germline reference sets, in that we can go and see what alleles are out there that are not in the current sets and how widely they're used. There's information there on usage across different ethnic groups as well. There's also a wealth of other information out there which might be interesting to people to analyze, particularly on the genomic side, where thanks to the work of Corrie Watson and his team, we're building a really pretty extensive collection of over 200-300 human samples, for example, human genomic samples, which have quite a bit of information in them besides the germline alleles themselves that people can look at, signaling regions, leaders, things like that. OgaDB is the AIRR Community database, which we built to store information on germline alleles, and particularly now to publish germline reference sets. It has, at the moment, the AIRR Community IG reference sets, and it also has a fairly extensive collection of mouse reference sets. And there are various tools to make it as easy as we can make it to incorporate these reference sets into your work. I've put some usage figures here. I'm not sure I believe the headline numbers. Maybe it's just as well you can't see the y-axis, but they can't all be bots. We do seem to get quite a lot of users. And you can see that there are peaks. There were peaks, for example, around the Porto conference in June last year. And then later on in the year, I think we might have done a podcast then or something like that. I think that's where this second set of peaks comes in. The new things on VDJ-base are we've now moved over, or we will very shortly move over to using our own AIRR-C germline sets to annotate everything. So we're eating our own dog food. We have a lot more data on VDJ-base coming, in particular, quite a lot of TR data, and some very interesting genomic data as well, including an analysis from Corrie Watson's team of the IGH constant region, which I think is going to be a very interesting research focus over the next few years. Also, we're planning to add this year downloadable repertoires, annotated repertoires for all the repertoires that we hold on VDJ-base, which will become, I hope, a useful resource in its own right. And they're all annotated with the same pipeline and the same germline set. Another thing that we've done, which is important for reference set development, is we've, on the genomic side, we've aligned the read coverage metrics that we have for each of our samples with the newly defined requirements from IUIS. IUIS is the International Union of Immunological Societies, and one of its jobs through various subcommittees is to allocate names to recognized germline reference alleles. And they've set up standards for the evidence they want to see, and those standards are now supported by VDJ-base, and that should make it possible to, in a much more hands-free way, to get new reference alleles into the set, and then hopefully get them onto you and get those sets growing with new information very quickly. On the TR reference set side, we now have a good body of evidence and alleles. We should be able to put a set together. It looks as though it's going to have maybe about an increase of 30 or 40% in the number of alleles that are in the current IMGT reference set. So I think we're going to add a lot of diversity to the sets that are already out there. We have a commentary paper on coming out in the Immunoinformatics special issue on the use of TR germline sets as well. And we're hoping through the new set and through the commentary to spread the message that there is a lot more diversity out there in TR germlines than people are aware of. And a lot of it is not anything to do with CDR3. So if you look further down the sequence, we'd encourage you to do that. You might find some interesting things there. And other CDRs do exist, and they do play a part in binding sometimes. On the macaque side, we have work in progress on sets both for Rhesus, and we hope also with Sino using data from Schramm's lab. And we are desperately trying to compile that into good sets to publish. We have highly diverse sets for Rhesus, for IG light chain as well as heavy chain, and I think that can be a major contribution to the community when we get things together. And then finally, we have a symposium at a conference called Focus 2025 in Boston coming up in June, which will focus on AIRR-C in general for people who aren't aware of it, but also particularly on the importance of germline sets and also the use of AI in AIRR-C.
We are, yes, can you conclude because we are over time?
I'm overrunning, sorry. Okay, so I think I've covered all of this. Just one last thing to say is we are looking for replacements for the co-leads. We have made one appeal. We have one willing volunteer, and we're looking for others that we can put to the membership for election in the next month or two. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. So if you want to apply to this working group that makes really critical work for the AIRR community, please contact William, I guess.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, William. So we will move to the next presentation because we are out of time. But thank you for you and all the working group. Justin.
Grant. Thanks, Encarnita. We could just flip forward here. Super. So as many of you will recall, the machine learning working group was formed by this community by vote at the Porto meeting. So we are a very young working group, but not a small working group, as we now have already accumulated 34 members. So no small n problems here. And of course, all of our regression models suggest if this trend continues, we'll surpass 1 million members within the next 5 years. Could we flick on to the next slide, please? Despite having only existed for a short amount of time, the working group has made some pretty solid progress. Again, just formed there at Porto and started meeting shortly after that. The working group has lent some fantastic support to this most recent IMREP 25 competition in March and is presently working on the manuscript with the organizers. In fact, most of the organizers of that competition are members of the AIRR Machine Learning Working Group. I'll leave you to speculate at the causality there. That's outside the scope of this discussion. And there is also a tremendous amount of support from this working group for a forthcoming repertoire classification competition, which Victor has been leading. And you should all see a manuscript forthcoming on that as well. We flip forward. So our primary goal, as you may recall, is to advance the state of machine learning in the fields of adaptive immune receptor repertoire data by supporting some very robust benchmarking and by way of these ML competitions. So that breaks down into a few different types of competitions, which are a priority for this group. We want to continue supporting the repertoire classification competition with a view to making this an annual or in other ways regular competition, which will push forward progress on the very difficult problem of disease classification from repertoire data. Within the group specifically, we are hoping to lend support in terms of promoting the competition and post-competition analysis, and of course with the manuscript after the competition concludes. The group is also supporting on the TCR side with sequence level prediction by supporting the IMREP 25 competition, as just mentioned earlier. The group is currently working on supporting the manuscript for the post-competition write-up, and ideally we'll be working to organize the next iteration of the competition, IMREP 26, and we'll be intimately involved in the promotion of that competition as well. If anyone has any feedback from the wider community about what they'd like to see in that next iteration, please do either join the working group or contact the working group, as we'd love to hear everyone's input on what can make this the most robust iteration of the competition to date. And then finally, we don't want to leave out those neglected antibodies. We are also looking at benchmarking in competitions on the sequence level on the antibody side. As many of you will be aware, there have been an explosion of competitions in this area and antibody engineering more generally. Rather than compete with what's out there, we have been in discussions with those groups which have recently hosted competitions, and we are hoping to help them turn those competitions into more regular, more robust, and more community-driven versions. And we are also in discussions with another group about potentially starting a competition on developability for antibodies. Next slide, please. So the main products of this working group, as I'm sure you gather from the last slide, are benchmarking and competitions. In particular, the competition reports and the articles detailing the methodologies and hopefully laying down a groundwork for robust analysis of the accuracy and generalizability of machine learning models in this field. Perhaps the most important part are the enduring assets from these competitions by way of the test data sets with which ML practitioners can continue to develop methods over the year between the competitions. And of course, promotional assets as we try to expand this as widely as possible, not just into the intersection of the AIRR community and the machine learning community, but to the fuller communities beyond the intersection. In terms of resource requirements, it's fairly light, but we are really, I suppose, blessed that we have mostly practitioners, almost exclusively practitioners in the group, which means we lack some of the organizing and technical skills that might be better to have in such a working group. So we could really use some advice on how we best coordinate, especially from a technology perspective. And in particular, we are currently looking for a mailing list management platform and would really love to hear some suggestions from everyone about the best way to support a mailing list where people can self-add and remove. Most importantly, segment by interests. We are a larger working group and we don't want to have everyone burdened with every discussion that we're having within the working group. So we'd like to allow people to subdivide into sub-working groups. And of course, we need to handle our calendar invitations for the meetings. The best alternative we found so far is Gaggle, but if anyone has any reservations about that or any better alternatives, please do let me know. And that's it for us.
Thank you, Justin. That's really cool and very nice progress. Happy that TCR have a spot here. But importantly, yes, antibodies. It's also something that actually was initially at the core of the AIRR community, and great that you could gather other initiatives together. For the resources requirement, I think though your needs are probably needs that most of the working group may have, and this is an important point. That's, I mean, the person usually taking care of this or having a strong view on this is Christian. I think he was not able to attend today for a personal reason, but this is something we should keep in mind because it's definitely important, especially in your working group where there is so much people. Same for other tools. I don't have any solution. I don't know Gaggle, so if anyone has a comment or suggestion, please, or questions. No comments? No. Maybe just get back to us and to us and Christian, so we can see what could be done with the tools that we have, and eventually if we need to change the tools that we are using within the AIRR community. Why not? So the competition are once a year, right?
That is the aim, yes, but this can flex a bit depending on whether there's a need for more frequency or whether we're struggling to get test data sets, honestly.
Okay, so we are over time. We need to move on. Thank you, Justin. Thank you to everyone from the working group. So we move now to the software working group with Chaim.
Okay. I'm Jason Vander Heiden on behalf of the Standards Working Group. I'm going to kind of cover where we've been for the last couple of years and where we're going. So we are currently have about 9 regular contributors, and that's either to the meetings or the GitHub repository, though regular attendance at the meetings is only about 4 people. Currently, Christian and I are still chairs. The group is pretty small. People who've been there for a long time and few new faces. We have one, Gisela. She's here. Thank you. What we do is primarily our meetings are working meetings where we sit down and we go through the GitHub issues and pull requests and resolve them. What our output is that we generate schemas for representing AIRR-C data. And a schema looks like the giant blob of text here on the right-hand side, starting at line 3440 in the file, which is just a description of how to represent AIRR-C data in various different file types. We also output Python, R, and JavaScript reference APIs for interacting with standard compliant files and databases. So what we've done over the last couple of years is we had 2 major releases. So we had a version 1.4 and a version 1.5, small patch release during that time. And what has changed in the schema is that Scott, thank you, added the JavaScript API. We've made some improvements to the documentation site, which you can find linked on the side, which includes documentation for not only the AIR standards, but other AIR working groups. We've added some new account fields to work with newer technologies, and we put out experimental schema, which is sort of our term for when we initially release the draft schemas, that cover single cell, receptor specificity, germline reference genotypes, and data aggregation. And we've also gone through some conceptual churn on how the entire AIR data model can best support the AIR data commons and the associated API. Last time we counted, with our first schema, the rearrangement schema, we were up to 27 tools supporting it. It's likely an undercount because we haven't been counting recently, but adoption seems pretty good, and we hope it's self-sufficient. All right, so what we're currently focused on is getting to version 2.0. And what this is going to involve is another rework of the documentation. Ulrich, in particular, has been spending a lot of time on this. And so we're going through, we're removing stuff that's no longer relevant. We're trying to make it more usable, more clear to people who aren't familiar with our work, which is rather arcane. And then we want to get official production releases of all of those schemas that I mentioned previously that were in an experimental state, single cell, germline related ones, including clones and file manifest and repertoire grouping. Same thing for the JavaScript API. We want to make sure that's production ready before we get it out the door. And then we have a bunch of other little stuff that's backwards incompatible. So that's our sort of major goal for the year. But smaller incremental goals is we do have a minor release that we need to get out for some of the AIR data model stuff. And once we hit version 2, hopefully near the mid-end of the year, we want to try to get a publication to accompany that out the door to the scientific community. And then after we get 2.0 done, the working group is planning to wind down. So our goal, because we feel like we've done all we really can, there will be small things, but for the most part, it feels fairly complete. You know, we're going to halt development, focus solely on maintaining the schema and resolving issues as they come up, and close out to some much lighter cadence of activity. Previously, Christian and I are still stuck with the job for election, and will help with the closeout of the working group.
Great, thank you. So how do you see the adoption? So you said that there are 27 tools that adopt the standards and then the principle in general. How do you what do you think we should do so to promote even more this adoption? Should we do it actually, or?
I think it's a good thing to do. But
I think so.
Yeah, no, it is. I think the important thing though is maybe maintaining the relationships that we have there, right? Because IMGT implemented it, Cell Ranger did, Mixer did, IG Blast did, right? And so I think it's critical to kind of communicate with those people when we start to have changes and, you know, kind of check in regularly. Like I said, I hope it's self-sufficient, but like getting out to new tool developers wouldn't hurt. So I don't know.
Yeah,
how.
so that's the point. So how to spread the word, because we are here in the community, so not all the developers nor not all the people working on AIR, even if they know about the AIR community, are applying them, using them, probably just because it's a new an additional layer into their job. So how could we do this? Is it communication, increasing the communication through social media or these kind of things? I don't know, or any platform?
I mean, in the past, we've reached out to developers directly.
Okay.
Out to developers. Can I ask a naive question? So when you say adoption, is that just AIR-TSV if they print, if they output and input AIR-TSV, or is it actually storing it internally according to our standards, or is it like what does that mean?
Just input and output. So when we kind of started the mission of the AIR data representation and minimal standards groups that are the ancestors of the current standards group, like our goals were interoperability and data reuse, right? To get a format out there that everybody could just kind of pick up and plug into their tool instead of everybody having to write a converter, and you would have uniform metadata, right? That's still the goal. How they internally represent that is up to them. And, that's kind of their problem.
Okay. So no additional question or comment? So then, thank you, Jason. Thank you everyone, all the working groups, colleagues that introduced their work. So for people that are not already involved in any of these working groups, you see that you have many spaces to develop new skills. And I think this is one of the strengths of the AIR community in all these working groups. So we are really a working community. And through this working group, there's many things that one can personally develop for your career, your daily work. So please jump into the occasion to join any of this working group. Felix, you want to say something?
Well, we didn't really give a contact for people who might want to join working groups. I wonder what's the
contact will everything is available on the website. So this is something that we could just maybe we could put there because the contacts are on the website. But I agree that the website is it's being updated. So maybe we can just share the link again. So now we have a 10 minutes break before continuing. Then we will continue with the presentation of activities or of the subcommittees and review committees. So thank you. Let's meet again in 10 minutes. So
the reference group to establish the
all right, thank you. So tight work with the germline working group and the UIS for this review committee, right?
Yes.
So when you said sustainable IT infrastructure, what would that be, and how you see this? So something from the AIRR community, I guess, is important.
Yeah, so right now we're using OgreDB. So in that sense, for the community to keep like helping out and like
IARC submits to
NRC.
the NRC, and then NRC is working on evaluating and naming those genes.
And then putting them in a registry.
yeah, so we're reviewing the alleles. Right now we're working on the genomic data, as I said. And we're preparing the list of the novel alleles that we think should move forward to the review of the IOIS, and from there to naming.
Whose data?
So this data comes from Corrie Watson's lab specifically.
Any other question or comment? Okay, so we'll continue now with the joint communication and meeting reports. So this is kind of new because we used to be two independent work subcommittees, the meeting subcommittee and the meeting subcommittee. And because of the people, because also of the tasks that were quite integrated, we decided to create or to join our meetings and activities. And so we are going to present this, Simon and myself, for the next minutes. So who are we? So since September 2024, we create this joint subcommittee, still with a comms part and a meetings part. So Pam Borgard, that you all know, and she cannot be present today, unfortunately, was a co-lead on both. So that was also one of the reasons to join these two committees and subcommittees. Simon is the co-lead on the comms part with Pam, and I'm the co-lead on the meetings part with Pam. So in terms of members, you can see that it's quite unbalanced, but again, we are working together, and some people that initially joined one subcommittee, in fact, are also and now contributing a lot in the other subcommittee. So we had 3 new members, and I would say even 4, because Felix also joined officially the meeting subcommittee. So we had 4 new members since the Porto meeting. So in terms of achievement on the meeting side, so you know that we organized this meeting 7 that was quite successful in terms of attendees, invited speakers, and all the activities that were organized in Porto last year. But of course, since Porto, what we did was mainly to work on the report out of this meeting to complete all the tasks of the meeting organization and reporting and financial reconciliation. So other tasks that we are working now on and that we achieved with the meeting subcommittee was to help, in fact, William and Corrie to push for their involvement in the Focus meeting member society symposium that will be held next June. And another achievement is the current meeting that we are all together today, that's zooming into the community meeting 3 in terms of organization. So for the communication side, Simon?
Yes, for the communication side, we have something new. We have the newly developed AIRR-C newsletter that was already published twice. We distributed to all our socials the podcast that was twice already since the last meeting, and we had lots of successful AIRR community seminar from the seminar series, 3 this year and 7 last year. And as you can see on the right side, we have expanded our socials lots to Twitter alternatives like Mastodon and Blue Sky. And from the statistics, if you look at it, we have a steady increase of new people signing up for all kinds of social media. So it's not like we are the new viral trend, but we have a linear growth for the last years steadily. And if you are interested into the podcast or want to learn more about AIRR Community, you can scan the QR codes below, and all the previous meetings are available as records on our YouTube channel. So, yeah.
So our goals all together with the comms and the meeting subcommittee, it's, let's say, to continue on the same track. So on the meeting side, we'll continue the meeting organization, of course, with an activity outreach to call for participant and supporting initiative. And one of our major tasks for the coming year is the organization of the annual meeting in the hybrid form, which would be the AIRR-C meeting 8. So this meeting, as we already mentioned during the Porto meeting, should be planned around May, June 2026. We are still working on the location. It was initially kind of validated, but we had other questioning. So you will receive shortly a survey because we want to hear about our members where they would like or they likely will go for the next meeting in June 2026. So keep looking at your emails because this survey is important for us to take the good decision in terms of attendance. On the communication side?
Yes, and our future plans are to improve our communication skills and to coordinate better with other parts of the AIRR community. So the joining together with comms helped a lot because there was a lot of intercommunication before meetings, and now we have a joint meeting with comms together where we can shortcut all these emails, and that helped a lot in our communications improvement. And we like to help other parts of the AIRR community that actually create the content. As comms, we are not creating the content ourselves, but we help people who organize the seminars, the webinars, or the podcast to get the information and that they exist out to the world. And we like to help that more and to reach more people, to increase our outreach. And one problem with that is that all these social media channels take a lot of work, and we are not that many people compared to other parts like the machine learning people. So this is true for the meetings and comms. So if you are interested in joining either, just contact us. There will be information later for this.
Yes, and I would say that the newsletter was kind of initiative from one of the new member that joined the working group, the subcommittee. So I think yes, if you like this this activity to share, to promote, to design, you are much more than welcome. And also second call to all of the working groups, subcommittee colleagues, members. If you want to share any information, please contact us and contact the subcommittee through the newsletter email so that we can share your developments. So in terms of shared goals, so I think Simon said everything. We need members, new members, and because this is also providing new ideas. So in terms of product and resources, so what we are developing at the meetings is meetings and their recordings. the reports also related to the meetings that are shared with all our members through the AIRR Community website under a membership connection. And also networking opportunities with the industry, since we are calling for sponsors that are usually present during our in-person meeting, biannual meeting. On the comms part.
Yeah, and as I said before, we do not create the content ourselves, but as comms, we share your content. So keep up in creating great content. We like to share with the world. Yes, and as I said before, we track statistics for our social channels, and everything is growing steadily. So yeah, ideally that will reflect in more people joining the AIRR community and contributing to AIRR research.
So in terms of requirement, something, and if anyone has idea, for our regular in-person meeting, we use meeting platforms to organizing it and to have it available during the meeting. The one that we were used to for many years, it's really expensive, and we had a call last fall with PAM and the WUVA people, and it's increasing really a lot for any option. So if you have any suggestion, please let us know and contact us, especially Simon, to join the comms work subcommittee.
That's my email address on the right. So if you want to contact us, just write me an email. And for comms, our resource requirements are not that extensive, but we like to use some software that helps us to disseminate social media posts to all our social media channels at once. We tested that for 2 free social media channels with free versions of software called CoSchedule, and that worked really great for some social media posts. We like to extend that to all our socials, to have one go-to solution to just write down one social media post and press a button, and it will go out to all our social media channels.
So that's all for us. Any question, comment?
I want to talk.
Yes. Sure.
Hi, it's Jamie.
Hello.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
I'm with Felix.
Yes.
Hi,
I
everybody.
can see you.
You can see the top of my head. Look, so I wanted to ask the committee that when you send out your survey, that you also provide, because this was raised, I think, by me to the executive, I think where this came up, and therefore there's going to be a survey. And my concern was this, that people in the United States right now are under a different administration where they're taking people's phones and not letting them into the United States based on that. And I would like to send around an ACLU document on that, because people are now being told they can't enter the United States based on what the border agents see on your phone. And so that's kind of bad. It's also bad that they're picking up people who are foreign and deporting them, even graduate students. So even if you're traveling within the United States, you can get picked up and deported based on what is on your phone, potentially. So I'm just saying, these are issues I think that are really kind of scary about having meetings in the U.S. And so, so that is why I initiated this complaint or worry that having a meeting under this administration right now, which is very unreliable and kind of destructive, how is that going to turn out for our members? Not to mention the fact that, of course, we're turning into a police state, unfortunately, right now. So that I just wanted to bring that up because it wasn't mentioned, so I thought I would. Thank you very much.
We can't hear you, Encarnita.
Why?
Now we
Now we
can.
can.
Okay, so I did not change anything, but no, I was just saying that yes, I did not mention the reason why we launched this survey, although that the question about US, Europe, Yale, Paris has been raised several times. And the thing is that at the level of the exec and at the level of the meeting subcommittee, it's really hard for us to decide which location. It's important for us to have the feedback from the people that will attend this meeting, and because we need to know how many people are going to attend. So this is important for the success of the meeting. So the survey should
They've already sent out the
Yeah.
survey.
you already got it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mute.
So
I was just, I was just wanted to answer. It's kind of self-congratulatory, but I think doing this newsletter is really good. Glad we're doing that, and wanted to make sure. So it goes out to all the members of the AIR community. So I guess if you haven't seen it, I don't know.
it
talk
goes
about-
to all, yes, it goes to all the members of the AIR community. It's posted also on the website. It's also posted on the social media. I think it's also a good a good thing for the when we are just attending meetings to share the AIR community activities. So this is something that we should have in mind. Okay, so I should move on. So I'm now going to introduce the Executive Council report. So as the chair of the AIR community. So what we wanted to share is the organization of this Executive Council. So that was formed at the last 2024 meeting in terms of its composition and members. So I'm the chair. The chair-elect is Christian Busse. The past chair, who by our governance is still part of the Executive Council, is Victor Greif, who was the chair before. And then we have 3 elected members from the AIRR-C community members, so Felix, Breden, Corrie Watson, and Gore Yari. So as you all know, the AIR community used to have or has executive director Pam Borgard, that was our key member and traffic controller, as some people like to call her, and because it was true. Unfortunately, she had to step out for personal reasons, so she's not that much involved currently. And in support to support our activities and many of the information that you've been receiving, or many of the reports that have been generated, and the preparation of those slides, for instance, we hired a consultant who's Larissa Corrie. She joined the meeting here, and thank you, Larissa, for all the work you are doing and all the help you are providing to us. In terms of achievements, what we've been doing since the last meeting, so we have monthly meeting. This is our regular organization where we deal with the ongoing topics. This year we had several extraordinary meetings, especially related to the meeting organization, but not only. One major point was, in fact, the interoperability with our society, the society that is hosting us, the Antibody Society. Just because the Antibody Society had a deep internal reorganization, so we had ourselves to reorganize and organize ourselves based on their reorganization. So that took us some time to meet with the new team of the Antibody Society, hopefully for good in terms of organization and sharing of the information and philosophy. one important point in their reorganizations was the IT infrastructure. So there was some work to do on this aspect. And Christian Busse has been one of the major person involved in these discussions. And finally, we also have a regular meeting, as I said, just to get aligned with their new work. Our second general achievement is trying to facilitate working group and subcommittees activities. So, for instance, the diagnostic working group mentioned the code of conduct for the podcast guests. So we had some feedback and discussion with them, revision of their tool. The executive council also through the AIRR Community finance management is also supporting this working group in terms of technical support, at least remotely. Not directly now, unfortunately. Also supporting the meetings in terms of guidance I already talked about, and the various business tools that are needed and used by different members of the community. In terms of outreach, based on what was discussed at the Porto meeting, we try to continue on what was suggested. So we hosted this special issue by immunoinformatics, promoted it, and work on it. So hopefully the papers are going to be published soon. I asked for the numbers because as a guest editor, I expected to have those numbers, but unfortunately I did not have them. So I may update on this later on. The AIRR Community also and the exec supported the representation of one of our members at the previous International Union of Immunological Societies Council meeting as a representative of the AIRR Community and to spread again and promote the AIRR Community at higher level. And finally, help and supported also 2 student travel grants for the next symposium at the focus meeting. This is kind of things that we would like to continue doing, but of course it's dependent on the finances. So what are our goals and future plans for the next year? So one thing is to implement a strategic planning recommendation, and Jamie is going to talk about this with one important thing that was already raised during the presentation, which is the adoption of our AIRR Community product. Our goal is also to ensure long-term sustainability of the AIRR Community in terms of third parties partnership, and to try to have those partnerships that were not necessarily linked to meetings, but to support the AIRR Community in general. Continue the streamline of the governance, because there are always something to change, and so far to attend the Antibody Society biannual board meeting as a member and group within the tabs. In terms of resources requirement, what we need is funding, and this is one of our main tasks, which is to get funding through sponsors. Some technical resources also, and Christian is working a lot on this in link with the Antibody Society and outreach activities. And I think with this I'm done, so I don't know if you have any question.
Hi, Encarnita, I've got a question, and that is, with the TABS board meeting, is there an ex officio position now for AIRR Community on the board, or is it just Nina who attends as a board member? I see. Okay, so they never
Nina
did.
is here.
Pardon me?
There's Nina.
Nina is here.
Yeah, that's true, Jamie. We don't currently have an ex officio member on the TABS board anymore. but I
Okay.
am still a member of it. And I'm also a member of the nominating committee. So if there's somebody in the AIR community who's interested in serving on the board, I am all ears. Please contact me.
Oh, well, I'll nominate myself then. That would flip them
I can
out.
nominate you. That's even easier.
That's okay. Never mind. Okay.
So, and we have our next TABS board meeting in June the 16th. We are moving to the next because we are already behind. So, Jamie, it's your turn.
I'm Jamie, and I'm the chair of the strategic planning subcommittee, and I'm a little freaked out because I didn't know I was doing this. I thought I was doing it tomorrow, and so I'm just kind of lost a little bit here. Anyway, I'm just using kind of the old slides that I had from my report in 2024, but I've made additional in blue additions to it. We were tasked with developing a strategic plan, basically to ensure the longevity and the sustainability of the AIR community. And I think I've already gone over all the things that we did to lead up to a report that we did. We consulted with all the subcommittees and working groups and everything, and came up with, we created a set of questions and used them, created a matrix of all their answers, and then wrote this document, which we went through at the Porto meeting. And there was a discussion there, and some of those things have been incorporated into this, as well as I have to say I've dropped the ball in that we haven't had much of a meeting since I think sent things out to the committee with kind of no response in September of 2024. So that's my bad. I have not done as much as I could with this committee. But on the other hand, I think we're really tired of this document, to be honest with you. So uh, uh, it seemed that people were very much on side with the recommendations last at the Porto meeting. But since then, especially through a discussion with the executive council, since then, we want to I want to go through a few other things that I'm hoping we'll have time for discussion. And those final recommendations then, based on today's discussion, will then go to the executive council for them to do whatever they want to with it in terms of actually initiating processes based on this strategic plan. Okay, so now the main components of the plan had to do with improving the recognition of AIRR-C's brand and strengthening it. Adoption, we want to see universal adoption of our work products, basically the ADC. So we want people to be using that the ADC for their which would allow then with the data commons to share their data in the format of AIR community standards. And also, we have developed, the germline database folks, immunoglobulin and T cell receptor reference sets that we would like people, we're hoping people will use universally. We also want to strengthen and I would say streamline the AIR community working groups and subcommittees, and to also help to maintain their work products. In other words, maintain our standards and so forth. And for that, we need resources. And finally, we need to think about emerging and advancing advances in the field and challenges that are going to be facing us. Right now, the AIR community is entirely focused on AIR-seq data. And over the past 10 years, it's gone from brand new technology to something that is more widely used and kind of already established. So do we want to just be limited to AIRR-C data, or do we want to go beyond that? And so that is some of the discussion that I had recently with the executive committee, and I'm hoping we can talk about that. Now, so this is a busy slide, and I'm sorry, it's because I had to just do this in the last few hours. But so one thing would be to consider, as I have here that I've added, this is again to the old slide so you can see the context, in terms of improving our brand or expanding our brand, would be to encompass more the integration of AIR-C data into integrative systems, and especially possibly using machine learning and other approaches to look at multidimensional data, and therefore get a more in-depth view of the immune system, because that's really what we're trying to do here, is understand the immune system. So, so keep that in mind when I kind of go through some of these things. We, identified our target audiences previously, and we know that we need to develop partnerships. And one of the things that we could do, again, in improving our partnerships, we already are partnered with IUIS loosely, and we could actually strengthen those. Within IUIS, let me point out that we are trying to bring all the committee chairs together, which has never been done before. And one of the things we'd like to do is not only for AIR-C standards, but also for other standards, create a mechanism for universal acceptance of our standards within the 66,000 immunologists that form the IUIS. So I think there's a lot of potential strength there for the AIR community to get universal acceptance, but not only for us, but also for the flow cytometric societies, for RNA-seq data and others, so we can all work together and use the same data formats in doing multidimensional analyses. So that's kind of the idea there, and that's what I mean by here. I don't know if you guys can see my pointer, integrating with other bodies that create and maintain standards and are using, quote, big data, essentially. And that would be, for instance, ISAC, the International Society for Advancement of Cytometry. We're already working with them through IUIS. And also, like this Human Cell Atlas, they have their own standards for RNA-seq data, and they're huge. Maybe we should go with them, for instance. So I could see us, our society, moving forward and possibly rebranding ourselves in terms of also reaching out to these guys and working together to move all these standards forward together as a way of strengthening immunology in general. Secondly, we have to continue our educational efforts, which everyone's doing a great job on already. And I see coordination already, but maybe we could improve our coordination between the meetings, comms, and, for instance, the webinars and so forth with the working groups. Okay, so again, I can't see this. Let me just hit this. Okay. Okay. So in terms of then strengthening the working groups in our subcommittees, again, we've been streamlining, which is really great. So now standards and the standards committee is now getting close to becoming a maintenance committee, the working group, as is possibly the common repository working group, in which case you might want to consider making them into review committees, or have them consider becoming review committees if they like. And again, we saw a combination, so that's good streamlining of meetings and communications. Recruiting new members. So another big thing that we talked about at the Porto meeting was mentoring, and the students would really like it. They'd like more mentorship. They would like it when they join a working group, for instance, that they get brought up to speed. But the other problem that came up was from people running the working groups. They were having trouble with the people not doing the work or just dropping out and, leaving out suddenly. So one thing that we could do to encourage students, and I think we've been seeing it a little bit, especially from William, was requiring the mentees to actually sign a contract in order to commit to a work project. So once they've committed, then they need to just get the work done, and that could end up being a paper for them or a certificate on their CV or both. But the point is that it needs to be a two-way commitment. Anyway, that was a pretty big issue at the Porto meeting. We also have created this machine learning working group, which would be great, is great, and it looks huge and it looks very active, which is wonderful. But we could also consider something, possibly a working group around integrative systems and getting our collective standards approved, and how we might do that. So in doing so, again, this is to promote our ADC, MyAir standards, and our reference sets, and getting those more universally accepted.
Jamie,
Okay,
can I
and I'm trying
interrupt
to,
you?
there we go. Okay, so then
Jamie?
in terms of sustaining ourselves, I think the thing we came up with was partnering in order to sustain ourselves. But I'm going to just add, and this has just been kind of a long-term discussion, kind of underneath things, of the AIRR community working toward independence through rebranding itself and partnerships so that we become more independent as an entity. And that would be, again, expand, and this is kind of to close, expanding the AIRR-C brand beyond AIRR-seek data by partnering with others and becoming more of an integrated look while still retaining our hold on and expertise and therefore emphasis on AIRR-seek data. And then again, working toward creating a universal pathway toward acceptance of our work products. That's it for me. And are there any questions and discussion? I'd like to hear from people about this larger idea.
So any question, any comment on what was proposed and suggested by Jamie, which is the continuity again of the discussion that arose during the Porto meeting? So I just have one comment in terms of mentees. I've heard that there was some organization between the early career scientists. I don't know if there is any person representing here. This was not a working group. Yes, Ulrich.
No, sorry, I had another comment
Okay.
to Jamie, not to you. Sorry.
So okay,
That's
so
fine.
I don't know if there is anyone that is part of this discussion of between mentees from the Porto meeting that organize themselves.
Oh, that's right. I know what she means, but yeah.
So we have a group chat with all the young members of the AIRR community and potential new members of the AIRR community. And one idea was to for the next in-person meeting to have a separate session for just new members, for novice members who are there for the first time or who want to join the AIRR community and are shy that they are not want to participate in the full context, to give them an entry into the AIRR community.
Well, they were talking about it, but I don't. Yeah.
Okay.
Encarnita, we can't hear you again.
So I'm not moving. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So Simon, so do you think there's a need, because you said that you have a WhatsApp group, so is there a need to formalize this in a way to something else for you to maybe even attract other people or discuss? And regarding what Jamie was discussing about the importance of mentors, mentees within working groups, which is a bit different from the meeting part. Is there any discussion about this, or?
So the new members or young people found themselves, but there's not a real entry how they can join working groups, or maybe a dedicated event like a speed dating event where they can meet up with the working group members and talk to them for 2 to 5 minutes or something, and then go to the next working group. So to give them a chance to contact the working groups. So the poster event during the last meeting in Porto was really nice because it gave us the opportunity to talk to people who otherwise would never raise their hands and talk to us about the working group work we do. But some kind of dedicated event that shows young people that we welcome them and give them an entry. Because if you go to your first AIRR Community event and see people talk about standards and everything, it's completely new to you. You are really overwhelmed. So it took me 2 meetings to participate and to get into contact, and yeah.
Mm. So, and what you mentioned about this speed dating, would that be in the in-person meeting, or do you think we should maybe organize this as a Zooming session as we are doing here?
I think we can do both, to have it as a planned part for the next meeting, but that's just a while to the next meeting, so we can offer an event where new people can join. I think it's easier to do it at the event because lots of people bring their new members, master students, new PhD students there because they are already doing AIRR research, or you are sent there by your boss. My former boss, for example, told me there's a conference, you're doing AIRR research, just go there and look at it. And then people join the conference and they just need an in to talk to us, to find a way to participate, to overcome this little bit of initial shyness and get an in. And if they get to know us, people in the AIRR community are such nice people that if we hook them, then they want to participate and join.
Okay. Well, good point. Ulrich, so you had a comment or question?
Yes, I had a comment too regarding this integrating or embedding the AIRR standard with more established standards, and one of them was flow mass cytometry. It's just my personal opinion. I don't think it is a standard. I don't think it's something we should, as it is at the moment, something we should spend a whole lot of time with. There is one repository which has not really been maintained and may or may not be taken over by a publisher. So that might not be the best people, but my personal opinion.
So that was on flow cytometry, Felix or
Yes.
Jamie?
Yes, flow and mass cytometry.
They're talking about the journal that wants to take them over.
Yeah. Wiley, I believe it is.
Yes, so I think that's something to discuss with ISAC and whether that's really going to happen.
And the journal is what? It's cytometry?
Yeah, that's the International Society for the Advancement of Cytometry, and they're very involved with the cytometry A and B journals. And so I've been talking to them. And on top of that, there's, you know, a whole, oops, let me, I don't know how to end my share, stop share. There we go. So that has to do with a journal. One of the journals I think that is involved. I don't really understand the discussions, but I don't think that it has happened yet. And if they can't adhere to fair standards, then that will, you know, that kind of kills it for everyone.
But I mean, also the single repository that they have, there is, well, just one that's single. And my understanding is that it's not really being maintained or developed or anything at all. And their model is developed, was published, I have no idea, 15 years ago, maybe. So it's also rather old, and that's also not being worked on. So I was just saying, so if it wants something that with stable standards, the flow cytometry, mass cytometry people may not be the first choice.
You're right.
Okay, any other comment or question? So I think that the moving to integrating other type of data, it's something that we already started. Jason and Brian already mentioned this through the ADC, the single cell kind of additional AIRR-C data. So it's likely something we should move forward. How to do it? Can you hear me or not? Yes.
Yeah.
Can hear you. And I'd just like to add to what Ulrich was saying. I'm not really talking about the repository and using their single repository. I'm talking more about the standards that they've developed as opposed to any other standards that are out there.
Integrating standards.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yes,
I think that was the point.
Yes, indeed. I think it's old and difficult.
Mhm.
So what alternative standards would you mention then?
So for flow cytometry, there really isn't anything, I think.
That's the point.
But I don't know if it's better to go with nothing than to go with something that is maybe not very good.
Well, it's not like we would rewrite all the standards.
No.
But it's more like get together in a consortium with other groups and, it's not like AIRR Community would rewrite the standards for these other types of data, but
No, but maybe
It's talking to that society, which represents quite a few people, actually.
It does. I'm just wondering, so since there's been I think all of this work on the standard was driven by very few people. You can count them on less than one hand, I think. And it doesn't seem that they have been very active in maintaining these things. So I'm just not sure what the best approach would be here, because maybe they would not be interested in doing. My point was just not to spend too much time on it, because if they're not interested, nothing will happen, and it doesn't look like something will happen. That was my point.
in this particular group,
Well, I've been in discussions with them and I will be meeting with them. So,
good.
Because this is part of Christian, this is a kind of a defunct working group in our subcommittee of IUIS. It's the Big Data for Immunology Committee, which we haven't even met in the past year because I've been trying to pull these people together. And I've been running it with Christian, and it's been difficult to work. It's just been very difficult to work. So I've pretty much been doing everything on my own. But I see that as a pathway still through the IUIS, because there is the strength of the General Assembly there. So if the flow cytometry people have standards, that you think are old and therefore unwieldy, and yet there are no other standards, maybe they need to be improved. And maybe they are improving them. I don't really know. So that's why I'm going to be talking with those folks.
Yeah. But likely, I think if we want to move on to integrating other type of data, maybe our focus should not be to start with the standards of others' data. Already trying to get them and see what we have, and then progressively call for help in terms of standardization if we need this, at least for the integration in the ADC. So I think this is a important topic, and again, as already mentioned by several people, it's a kind of natural way the AIRR community is moving forward, because AIR, TCRs, BCR are just one molecule out of many on top of cells, and this is what we are interested in to see the relationship between TCRs, BCRs, the function of the cells, the phenotypes, etc. So maybe likely we will need to create something, maybe a kind of task force to think about how to move forward this, and that probably will go for the next meeting. Brian?
Yeah,
Because
just on
then we
this
need to celebrate.
just really quickly, we've looked at the HCA, the Human Cell Atlas, and tried to look at integration with them. Their metadata is not great, but I think that's maybe a right place for maybe doing something interesting. They have an immunology subgroup, which I am a part of, but I haven't been active in for quite some time. So.
Okay.
That is great, Corrie. What am I saying, Corrie?
Brian.
because they had been sending me to a woman in the U.S. who would never respond when I was trying to do outreach with her. That Sarah Teichman had told me, "Well, get a hold of her," and that was just a total dead end. So it's great that you're on that committee. I should talk to you about that more.
Yeah, I haven't been active, and I mean that started. I went to visit Sarah's lab in Cambridge 2 years ago or something like that, 3 years ago. That's when that started, but I haven't been very active. So
Okay. So, Jamie, maybe do you want to do something out of this for the task force and maybe come back to the exec and we see how we organize this and maybe call for others? I mean, Brian probably likely already involved. Ulrich also seems to know, and if there is any other people on different aspects from the transcriptome and other type of data, please, so we'll let you know how things move on. Okay, so thank you, everyone. Thank you to all the working groups, subcommittees, review committees for the very nice presentation, and as usual, the incredible work that everyone is doing to make the AIR world progressing and being more active. So as I said when I started, it's a special event because we are celebrating the 10th anniversary of this AIR community, and everything started 10 years ago when some really pioneer people had this brilliant idea to take over new development. And Felix, you are now on stage to let us know about the history of the AIR community.
Great.
And maybe big applause already to the community.
Right. So everybody got the hats I sent in the mail, so we can put on our celebratory hats. So yeah, it's a great pleasure to get to introduce a little bit on the 10th anniversary celebration. We have Jamie here also. I was just gonna have a couple slides to hit some highlights. But I think the main message is really just congratulating how much work we've done over these 10 years and how we've somehow kept together over these 10 years. And then maybe this might stimulate some questions as, what did we think we were trying to do? Have we accomplished this? And really fitting in with Jamie's talking about, what might be the next steps for the community. So I always like I get to highlight what I find important, but I always like to remind people that it was only in 2009, the AIR community is dealing with AIR-seq data, these T cell receptor repertoires, B cell repertoires, next generation sequencing of these repertoires. It only started in 2009. And then by 2013, Jamie organized a symposium at the antibody engineering,
There we go.
Yeah, the Antibody Engineering and Therapeutics Conference in San Diego, which is kind of prescient in that this is a very close association with the Antibody Society, or TAB. So in 2013, Jamie brought a bunch of people together to talk about, we got these huge data sets now about these sequences, and how do you recognize lineages, clonal lineages, and how do you describe them? How do you do statistics on them? And to me, it was the first time almost where everybody got together and said, well, we're all using different languages, we're using different definitions, we're using different ways to store the data, nobody can share the data. And we needed a community effort to try to deal with these data in a more standardized way. And so then in 2014, Jamie and I, and then Tom Kepler, who's at Boston University, which is interesting. He's a bioinformatician who had been working on these type of data forever, but before the next generation sequencing, at the time you'd only get a couple hundred sequences from before vaccination or after vaccination, and then suddenly with next generation sequencing, you're getting a million sequences before and after vaccination. So he helped organize the planning meeting at SFU at Simon Fraser University in Burnaby, where Jamie and I were. And another kind of interesting historical uh, nicety. We had this at the Center for Interdisciplinary Research in Mathematical and Computational Sciences, or called ERMAX at SFU. But Pam Borgart was the administrative director of ERMAX at the time, organized everything, and has basically organized everything since. So I just wanted to point out that interesting historical and important. And Brian, oh my God, yes, Brian was basically the IT person at ERMAX, so I should have put that in the slide too. And then in 2015, so that's why we're calling it the 10-year anniversary, the first AIR Community International meeting was held in Vancouver, and that's the time we came up with the name Adaptive Immune Receptor Repertoire Community. The next two meetings were at NIH, which really helped us a lot, and it gave us exposure to the NIH people and gave us kind of a certain amount about cred and a large international component.
And it was free.
And they paid for the logistics of the meeting. And in 2017, we decided to join TABS, the Antibody Society, as a special committee. And they provided logistical support for the AIR community for many years. And then in 2019, we went outreach to Europe and had a really great meeting in Genoa. And right now, the plan is to have the AIR community meeting every year. We alternate face to face and virtual. And then the face-to-face meetings alternate North America and Europe. That's the plan, but we'll see. And then here's I think Larissa introduced this slide just to show how international the meetings were, even starting in 2017. We had 15 countries. By 2019, we had representatives from 22 countries. This is a great slide. I just put it in here because I think Adele worked on it. And it shows all the different meetings we've done over these years, all the titles and emphases, and then how many people. And we actually had a special event, COVID-19, in September 2020 with 355 virtual attendees, which is pretty incredible. So that's in there to people to look at if they want. And there we got the most important part. We have Bjorn, Jamie, and I just showing that we actually were young at one point. And I have up on the top left a slide I like a lot where we emphasize Pam as the air traffic controller, which I think is a great title for her. And then the bottom one, I can't tell, is that La Jolla? I think that might be
that's
La Jolla,
La Jolla,
is it?
palm trees.
And then the second slides we put together on the upper left is this great venue we had in 2015 at Vancouver that was like a UN, basically, where you basically were in it's like a UN thing. And I love the one in the middle with Encarnita and Nina, and I'm not sure, and then Victor off to the side, of course. And then on the left, we have the bookends with Marie-Paul Lefranc, who started IMGT, and Corrie. And then in the upper right, Steve, basically, we had a great venue that was an old church in Genoa, and he looks very
Steve Kleinstein says.
Steve Kleinstein looking very I don't know
Scientific.
no, I was thinking more the bigger picture, authoritarian. No. And then a picture of Genoa talking to God or being God. And then just to emphasize how much work has been done, it's been so much of the work is done through the working groups, but in a way, we've had similar working groups for a long time. We've had Common Repository since 2015. The germ we started with tools and resources, but they were overworked. They complained a lot, so they split into biological reagents, software, germline databases, and data rep. Germline has continued, software has continued until recently. Data rep and minimal standards is now the standards. And so we've kept similar working groups for many years, but now the exciting extra of diagnostics and machine learning. And then kind of in that uh, theme, this is the announcement for our first meeting in 2015. Purpose: bring together researchers interested in immune repertoires, legal and ethics experts, funding agencies, journal representatives. That's still what we're trying to do. What were our things we're going to try to do? Production of immune repertoire sequence data and associated metadata, data analysis and sharing, and ethical, legal, and IP considerations. So um, basically, with that, it shows that we've been thinking about the same thing for 10 years, been doing an incredible amount of work. We've accomplished several things. Um, I think now we could bring up, our people want to mention things that they wanted to do 10 years ago, what they think we've done really well, what we think the future should be. I'll just stop talking and stop sharing and open it up.
Thank you.
It wasn't
And
hard.
thank you. And and I agree with you that it's really, really fascinating to see this evolution, but still keeping the core, in fact, of
Mhm.
the original idea. It's just that
It's amazing.
evolves with the evolution of the technologies, and the evolution of the science in general. But yes, we are still in the heart of what was imagined at the beginning, I think. Nina, you wanted to say something?
No, I'm just so thankful for this community. I think many of us are good friends, and it's been an incredible 10 years. I can't believe it's 10 years already. So congratulations to everyone.
Wow, I
And
just Tony Moody's there. Tony was one of the original the I think in the first 20 years, if the first 14.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, Tony. That's great.
Yes, I've gotten quite gray since then.
Yeah, so have we.
Yeah, but you're smart enough not to show your face, so it's amazing. Oh, there you are, Tony.
Yay!
Great. Well, thanks for showing up.
Yeah, sorry for being late.
Oh, no problem.
Overlapping meetings, shockingly.
Yeah.
so yes, the spirit of this community, it's quite unique, I think.
Yeah.
On the way it's organized and the way I mean it's not just a community meeting regularly every year, organizing a meeting. There's really hard work, people getting involved from the beginning on different tasks, different approach, so that we, as Nina said, we are friends, collaborators, working together in science in general to make things progress, but in a really collaborative and community way, which is really, really fantastic. I've learned a lot through this community, and I think that's the case for most of the people. I joined the community as an early career member, so
Career.
it's yes, it's been 10 years. I'm older, and I hope that the young researcher, when I said young, is early career researcher, are really also enjoying this and getting the input the communities bringing. Brian.
I just put a picture in the chat of a photo of the whiteboard from the 2015 meeting.
Yeah, I mean, like Encarnita says, I mean, we're a bunch of old farts talking, but we do have a lot of young people, so that's exciting and very active young people. And we were, I mean, the idea of trying to get these universal standards, we've been working hard on it. It's not easy, but we really had the right idea, I think.
So the question about journals and approaching journals, in fact, we've been approached by journals already. Immunoinformatics kind of it was the first, but I've been approached as the chair from another journal, and I think this is maybe it's not sufficient, as we already discussed, to promote and not easy because two journals out of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, maybe it's not enough to make our standards adopted. But I think it's already a good start and a way for our members also to promote their work. Because one thing is that that needs to be mentioned, and it's that all the work done within the AIRR community, all the products that you've been seeing have been done by volunteers. So, I mean, it's really time dedicated to this, and it's a lot of time. Again, it's not just meeting once every while. It's a lot of hard work. So.
Well, and Kelly McPhee in the chat asks how, she can get more involved in the community and give feedback. And again, it's just one of the great things is that the working groups are open even to you don't even have to be in the AIRR community to be a member of the of a working group. And there's a list of the working groups on the AIRR community website, and those that you might be interested in, just contact the co-leads, and we're open to the more young people in those working groups, the better, really.
Yes, and I would say, Kelly, thanks for being so interested and enthusiastic about joining or helping, providing additional expertise maybe or input for the community. You can go on the website, as Felix said, either by working group, or you can also come directly to the exec, and then we can spread the word and maybe have a future discussion with you. I think for the early career also, that was mentioned before with these mentees that are organizing themselves into a separate group. Maybe there is something that we should do there to create a real space for those people to meet and to officially meet. I mean, to be targeted by early career. So this is something we should listen.
Great. Well done, everybody.
Yes, and more to do.
Yeah, a lot more to do.
Thank you, Larissa. Yes, and thank you to everyone.
It might also.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say it might also be worth just a reminder that the link for tomorrow is different than the link for today. So you have to sign up independently for both days. Just reminded everybody here.
So I want to also, I think it's important to really push for, I think there are a few people who have made such a difference and have been there from the beginning. And one of them is Brian Corrie, who there wouldn't be a repository or really, I think, even standards developed if it wasn't for his continuous work on this. So thank you, Brian. And also, I would love to point out Corrie Watson and the huge amount of work he's been doing for. I just said Corrie Watson, and the dog lifted her head up like, what? Anyway, Corrie, for the incredible work he's been doing, leading, the effort in IUIS and for in taking the basically the AIRR community standards and turning them into worldwide standards for validation and nomenclature of germline genes. And finally, I'd like to thank my husband, who's been there as a unifying force and just a really nice person all these years. So
Who is this guy?
yeah, I don't know. Anyway,
TMI. Come here, Kira. Kira.
Don't
Anyway.
call the dog onto the bed, Felix. I know
Oh,
that's what you were gonna do.
no,
Yeah.
he's doing it as a distraction. Anyway, thank you so much, though, for everyone and all this.
yeah, and Jamie's been hanging in there too. Jamie started that 2013 meeting. It was amazing. Okay.
Well, my job is to see that our standards become universal. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I kind of do.
Yeah. IUIS
It is going to happen.
IUIS is the International
It is.
Union of Immunological
Yeah,
Society.
but they don't have a mechanism, but we're going to create one.
We're taking.
Yeah, we're taking over.
That we can trust on you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Back to you, Encarnita.
No, not thank to me. Thank to everyone. Thank you for all that makes all of you who prepared those slides. So it's always additional work. And thank you for the time. Thank you for sharing. And again, thank you for the effort. And we meet again tomorrow. Let's meet tomorrow and discuss further about specificity. Thank you.